they are means someone who want to learn, they can learn free of cost. So learning can change something, and also this can change the society. With this motto, we have started this platform in the month of May. So this platform is open for everyone, means anyone can join, anyone can share his their experience in their field, whatever they have done. And I welcome on this platform to all the participant, all the person dignitaries here. And also I welcome our session chair, Dr. Professor Dipin Agrawal sir, and invite him for sharing his view on the current scenario, the topic that is ecotourism challenges and opportunity. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, pretty audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening and happy Teachers' Day to everyone attending this webinar. Once again, I'm thankful to Account Services and Dr. Ashok Rathorji for inviting me as the chairperson for the 16th session of this webinar series on environment protection and public health. The theme of today's session is Sustainable Tourism, Challenges and Opportunities, which will be presented by our today's expert guest speaker, Dr. Rupali Jeli. Tourism is one of the largest global industries, with much of the growing market focused around natural environments such as coastal and marine protected areas and other historical places having ancient monuments. By tourism, local communities can benefit through revenue generation and employment opportunities. However, if not properly managed, tourism development can also put pressure on natural resources, destroy habitat, disturb wildlife, and pollute waters. Poorly managed tourism can result in social and cultural impacts, undermining local communities. When we discuss about sustainable tourism, the first term, sustainability, is most often defined as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. Sustainability has three main pillars: economic, environmental, and social. The main aim of sustainable tourism is to increase the benefits and to reduce the negative impacts caused by tourism for destinations. This can be achieved by protecting natural environments, wildlife and natural resources while developing and managing tourism activities. Sustainable tourism empowers the community to manage their own resources and cultural heritage in a sustainable manner. Sustainable tourism can also be used as a financing mechanism through the generation of revenues from entrance fees, user fees, taxes, or concession fees so as to fund the development of the tourist site. Tourism often provides scarce sources of funding for both conservation programs and local communities, while providing incentives for protecting areas from practices and developments that are harmful to the natural beauty of an area. Opportunities and threats can only be controlled through well planned and managed sustainable tourism. In India, the tourism sector is based on its unique endowments of biodiversity, forest, rivers, and its cultural heritage, which is very rich. The challenges in this sector lie in successfully preserving these in their original form and making them accessible to domestic and international travelers, together with safeguarding the economic interest and heritage of local communities. Sustainable tourism development meets the needs of present tourist and host regions while protecting and enhancing opportunities for the future. The importance of sustainable tourism worldwide has increased significantly due to the impact of increased human activities on climate. I would over to you, sir.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot for sharing your views on the topic that is sustainable tourism or ecotourism. So I in means for today's guest speaker is Miss Rupali Zale. Miss Rupali is an educationist, and she is associated with Department of Environmental Science and Department of Commerce, SIES Nerul College of Art, Science and Commerce, Navi Mumbai. She has completed her masters in MSc and MPhil in Environmental Science, and currently she is pursuing PhD from University of Bombay. She has been involved in environmental education and awareness for last 15 years. She has guided PG students for their major research project based on environmental monitoring and assessment. She also worked as NSS program officer for 5 years, and she has taken many social initiatives like environmental awareness, cleanup drives, tree propagation programs. As an environmental educationist, she firmly believes in encouraging young minds for a sustainable approach in every aspect of life. And also, her passion and love for tourism got her associated with the Ocean World Tour for promoting ecologically responsible tourism. So I welcome and invite speaker Miss Rupali Zele. Over to you. You can share now. I'm just stopping from my side. Yeah, you can share your screen. No, you are not audible. No, voice is not coming actually. The last you speak, that voice was coming, but not now. Hello.
Yes, sir. Now,
Yeah, now you are audible. You can share your screen.
hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, 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 of course.
Okay. So thank you so much for such a amazing introduction, and thank you so much for giving the opportunity. I'll just share this slide. My screen is visible.
Not yet. Yeah, it started right. Now you can
Okay.
go ahead, but you have to means in present form, full screen. You can do.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir, I'll do that. All right.
Yeah, all right. Okay, go ahead.
So thank you so much again, and wishing you all the happy Teachers' Day. Being teacher is something which I feel like something which is actually the privilege to be part of the education institution. So the topic for the today is the sustainable tourism, the tourism that takes a full account of current and future economic, social, and environmental impact, addressing the need of the visitors, industries, and environment, and as well as the host community. Now, as I'm been associated with education institution and with the MSc Environmental Science department, I was always been organizing the tour since I think 2007. Like we had been to Sikkim, Gangtok, and while doing so, every point of time, the awareness which I have to transform in my students. In initial phase, I have to transform the thing in my behavior as well as a tourist, and then slowly I felt like how when we're traveling, it's not only about talking about the natural circumstances or natural reservoirs or soil pollution or the water pollution, but whenever we're traveling, it has to be the responsible travel. So journey towards this particular topic, I think, would have been started with that point where we started having a sustainable strategies for the tour management, where students were expected to carry their own cutlery along with them. So any point of time they're using, taking their food, the plastics and everything can be avoided. And then furthermore, when I was been associated with like that is all about the environmental things which came into my mind as far as the tourism is concerned. And now when I've started teaching BCom students, the plain BCom students, it was a bit challenge for me to connect them to the topic of the environmental interest. So every point of time when I was talking about, I've started correlate the factor with the economy, because that's the way you have a proper correlation between the stability, this balance between the economy and the environment. And the same thing for this topic as well, like how the tourism can be more sustainable, and then it would be giving us some more economic opportunity to gain. So the objective given by the United Nations World Tourism Organization, the resource conservation and ecological restoration, promotion of social and cultural development, because this is one of the important element, like the local economy has to be promoted, and the long-term economic benefit that is for every sector, like tourism. In the tourism sector we have tour operators, tour guides, and then there are different private sectors which have been involved, hotels, restaurants. So for them, the long-term benefits can be planned. So as we all are aware that the strategies for sustainable development for making the need of the present generation and allowing for the further generation also to use the resources. Along with the sustainable tourism, I think this environment and economy always go hand in hand, because even if we have to develop a sufficient amount of funds, we need to have the natural resources. So I think tourism also plays an important role as far as the total GDP is concerned. So for that matter, the environmental resources are to be preserved. In a simple way, now there are many animals which are found to be completely extinct. Some are already in their endangered state. So if people are interested in wildlife, they will enter into the forest only if there are the wildlife. So for protection of the wildlife, we need to protect the forest, because forest, if there is a forest, there would be the wildlife. And if then we are protecting it in a proper way, and then proper with the proper strategy and management, if we could develop the tourism sector there, like for visitors, with the proper rules regulations required for that particular ecosystem, I think that particular area, that particular forest would generate a huge amount of the economy, and that economy further can be utilized in the development of the communities there, the social services, employment opportunity, and at the same time the same funds can be utilized further for the conservation of the environment. So the conservation of the environment and promoting the sustainable economy, maintaining the stable income opportunity to people living in that particular region, and balancing the environmental resources for the use of the society. Now, the principle of the sustainable development is can be categorized with respect to the sustainable business practices. Yes, it is very much important, because, as I've mentioned, if when we are looking at the tourism point of view, then definitely the sustainable business practices has to be considered with respect to both approach. It cannot be only with respect to the environment, because ultimately the society has to earn out of it. And then while doing so, if the community is getting some kind of the benefits, okay, like there are many policies of the state government, and in fact the central government as well, where we have the local forest development facilities, where the local people are to be given the more preference, whether it's a tour guide or any other kind of the economic provision in that particular area. So slowly the community also get involved into it, and then we have the development. And definitely the environmental stewardship, where everything which is inclusive of the environmental facility has to be protected, each and every organism, each and every ecosystem, and along with that the economical calculations to be done. So environmental conservation, this is my I feel it's right, whenever we go for the environmental conservation, some kind of the economic benefits are always been achieved. Like you go for simple to simple technique, like when you're going for the rainwater harvesting, when you're going for any other facilities of the solid waste management, every possible ways the economic opportunities would be generated. Now, dimensions of sustainable tourism. Before I start this, there are incredible India, like as far as the Indian government is concerned, to promote the tourism, the government of India started the Incredible India campaign, and where all states and their USB, because I think for any of the business to get successful, or even if you're talking about the tourism, anything which simply works as the USB. So when we're talking about the Delhi and Agra, definitely the Taj Mahal plays an important role. Likewise, there are the USBs. So based upon that USB, like that would be considered as one of the important factor. Further social and economical developments can be done, but only while doing so, the environment needs to be protected in all possible ways. So in the dimensions of the tourism, the customer satisfaction definitely plays a very much important role. Now we're aware that we many people across, like in I think in a campaign Incredible India, Amir Khan was actually being the brand ambassador. He was constantly promoting how the cleanliness is found to be important, because when we have arrival of foreign tourists, and when we have to provide otherwise as well, but especially when we are looking for more foreign exchange arrival of the foreign tourist in the country for many opportunities, definitely we have to make sure that like there are seven different things which needs to be followed, which includes suvida, suchna, and all other kind of a thing, so that needs to be followed. The community well-being, wherein everything with respect to the local community should be considered, like their life should not get affected even after the development of the tourism. Their lives will be sustainable as well. Environmental purity, which needs to be considered. Employment quality as well. Now, one of the important drawback I would say about the tourism, that it is very much seasonal. Like if you take about our own country, I think most of us are in going for the travel and tour when we have the vacations. Usually coincides with the school and colleges vacation. So I think other than that, if 3 months, 4 months is a peak tourist time, then I think for remaining time there are other kind of the supplementary options to be created for them. So those people would be earning throughout a year. Then resource efficiency, which includes the management of the resources, management of the water, then the waste management, the different impacts associated with the tourism as well, protection of the biodiversity. Okay, because as I've mentioned, the flora and fauna, because we have such an amazing diversified country with respect to everything. It's not only about the biological, but the cultural as well, the food, the costumes, and everything. So that also needs to be protected. The economic viability, that needs to be, we have to be very much accountable, because nothing can be gained without investing and then the considerable amount of the profit out of it. The government plays an important role because while going through the different documents and different material like the literature, when I was just preparing for the presentation, I was very much surprised. We have tremendous policies made by the government. Okay, I was so surprised to know that the sustainable tourism policy of India were been formulated in year 2003. It's almost 18 years down the line, but the impact is not still found to be great. Okay, in fact, in one of the reference, like in a United Nations World Tourism Organization, in their website, I've seen that our rank as a sustainable tourist is found to be very much low. In a comparison to that, the total amount of the tourist uh, which are creating an impact, the economic impact on the world economy. So that the local governance, the making the policies, and then I will making that policy to be implemented in a positive way. The cultural richness, I think in a day-to-day life, we have to see that, like the kind of the life which are following nowadays. I think one of the best thing which would have happened due to the COVID, that we went back to our original thing. Like when we say that now we're being found to be a bit holistic about our health. So whatever the cultural things which we have got, whatever kind of the, whether you talk about the religious culture, religious aspect of a country, or a different culture, or different kind of, like, so for example, we have the Ayurveda, we have different food habits. Okay, so that culture and food is always found to be associated, showing the positive impact. So I think we can take an example of the Gujarat itself. Like the food of Gujarat is one of the important USB to promote the economy as well. So likewise, the cultural richness is to be protected. Whether it's talking about any kind of art, dance, music, anything that is to be promoted. Physical integrity, because infrastructure definitely plays an important role. People want to travel in a less time with the proper convenient and the flexibility. So I think that needs to be provided. Then we have the local priority and as well as the social equity. The challenges of the tourism, the sustainable tourism, is one of the important challenge which I feel. Ecologically sensible tourism, when we are actually traveling, okay, taking care of what we are generating, whether it's a small wrapper of or bottle water, okay, that I think has to be in our day-to-day life, and for that matter the awareness has to be created. Now I'll just share my experience. Like since I've started learning in this environmental science, I always pick up everything when we're traveling. So when I'm traveling, I carry a bag, and then कोई भी प्लास्टिक बॉटल कोई थ्रो करना चाहता है गाड़ी में, I just take it in भाई यहाँ पे रखो. It took a long time for me to make my family get involved into it, कि वो थोड़ा सा ना irritate हो जाते थे मेरे behavior से. But then now I have my nephew, he is in 8th standard, so when he started going to school, now the people were not listening to me, but a child of 5 age, he was also telling the same thing कि नहीं ये कचरा रास्ते पे नहीं फेंकना. So this definitely, with the problems and consequences which we are facing, the coming generation is being trained for sustainable strategies. So making ourselves responsible enough towards that particular aspect of the tourism, simple, as I've said, the simple do and don't. We don't have to do anything which would be damaging the environment in any which ways. So our act has to be very much sensible. Then inadequate infrastructure is another important challenge. Unprofessional approach. Okay, this I think not only for the sustainability with respect to the environment, but the economic point of view as well. Because as I mentioned, I've been associated with Darshan World Tour. And also I'm in organization with the Guru Tattva Meditation. That's the meditation foundation working for promoting the use of, or the impact of the positive life, impact of meditation on the positive life. They have across 52 countries, they have different people practicing meditation on a daily basis. So we always have a different function. In fact, in state of Gujarat itself, we have different functions organized by the organization. So at that point, when I was associated with the Darshan World Tour, we were taking responsibility of the tourists coming from Germany, a year where it was basically been organized for them. So we had almost 50 people coming from that country, and then randomly, when we calling them, they were so much interested to get the personal travelers. Like they were the whatever kind of the experience which they have got was very much unprofessional. Okay, the drivers and the facility which we've been provided. So I think that professional approach has to be maintained. Insufficient investment when it comes to the ecological factors. मतलब कोई भी चीज के लिए हम लोग को डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए तो काफी हद तक लोग पैसा यूज करने के लिए तैयार हो सकते हैं, लेकिन जहाँ पे आपको रिसोर्स कंजर्वेशन करना है, okay, or you have to change something. Now when I say I no plastic, so I have to make sure that I'm using either the recyclable plastic or I'm going for the clothes. So I have to change my lifestyle. Likewise, it will be applicable for other people as well with respect to the economic strategy. So insufficient investment is another challenge. Lack of policy planning and precise way. Role of the local community, sometimes are found to be rigid. They don't want change in a culture, because one of the important setback of the tourism, that the authentic culture of that particular region might get changed. So that might be the reason the local community may not support. So that plays again the challenge for us. Improper governance, if it is not been managed properly, excessive amount of the waste which has been generated. Okay, because many of the places we would have seen, like in state of Maharashtra, we have been to Mathiran, Mahabaleshwar, very small places, okay, as far as the size is concerned, but the intake, tourist intake is extremely high. So that is posing the pressure on both the way, the resource requirement as well, and the waste management as well. So that's another challenge, the lack of proper knowledge with respect to the sustainable tourism, the lack of interest of the people, and excessive cost. Yes, because there is a cost which we have to pay when we are going for the eco-friendly practices. These are the global initiative for sustainable tourism, international. United Nations World Tourism Organizations, they have formed the committee on tourism in 2013, and very interesting that when I visited their website, they have a different kind of the association. In fact, even after the COVID-19, because I think tourism is one of the sectors which has been affected at extremely high level. So they've already started with the destination committee like concept, wherein anyone across the globe, they can associate it with them, and then we can have the a kind of the well, a schedule or the planning where the both parties can be equally benefited. A national tourism policies which have been given by Responsible Tourism Society of India, which was been formed in 2008. It was first was been specified as the Ecotourism Society, but now they have made it as a Responsible Tourism Society. And the strategies of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, just a recent document. It has been published in June 2021 to promote the sustainable tourism across the country. A state-wise perspective plan for the development of the tourism of Maharashtra was been given in year 2003. And as I mentioned, one of the important pillars of the sustainable tourism is the local community with respect to the implementation of the policies and actually going into the field and working for the people. So the rule of the tour operators, tour guides, and the NGOs and local people. Now, a bit of statistic. The tourism contributes a major share of the GDP all across the world. This leads to pose a negative impact on the environment. According to the UNWTO, tourism contributes a 5% of the global carbon dioxide emissions, 4.6% of the global warming, 75% of the total CO2 emissions, and the accommodation itself stands for 21% of CO2 emissions. According to their data, India tourism has growth consistently to reach 13th rank in the world in terms of international tourism, and this is something I think one of the biggest achievement for us. A 22nd rank in terms of the international tourist arrivals, 34th position in the world travel and tourism competitiveness according to the rank in 2019. But then environmental sustainability has been 139, 134, 128 in respective year 2015, 17, and 19. That means we are lacking behind a sustainable travel with respect to the tourism as far as the world tourism facts are concerned. Now, the Indian scenario, the Minister of Tourism has recognized the immense potential of the sustainable tourism. After the formation of the Global Sustainable Tourism Council in 2010, the ministry undertook adopt this particular criteria, which is called as a sustainable tourism criteria for India. And then they are provided different indicators. So when we visit this website, or when you go through this particular document, they are given several guidelines how the sustainable tourism can be promoted. Now this is the statistic, the amount of inbound and outbound tourism for year 2009-10. Now, types of tourism: adventures, agriculture, beach tourism, cultural, ecotourism, geotourism, industrial. So there are many types of the tourism. Like, and each one of, as I said, I won't be able to complete all of them. Taking into consideration the sustainable tourism, I've selected few of them. Okay, but here when you're talking about, as I mentioned before as well, whenever we travel, wherever we are traveling, I think the sustainability has to be imbibed in us, and that would only happen when we are making an awareness. So we'll take few of them. So we are aware that Leh Ladakh, one of the important tourist destinations, those who are interested in the adventures and camping, Leh Ladakh, then agritourism in Maharashtra. Maharashtra, Gujarat, these are the two important states where the agricultural tourism is found to be promoted. Okay, then the beach tourism, we are aware that considering the example in a country, the Goa is known for that. Then New Zealand, again, one of the prime location for the beach tourism. But other than that as well, nowadays Indonesia, Bali, these are the destinations where frequently people are visiting because it's found to be more economical than any other country. Then the Gujarat tourism, known for everything, their culture, their food, and with respect to all kind of the USBs they have. I think Gujarat is a state who have many such elements which can be used for promoting the tourism. Ecotourism, we can take an example of Sundarban. Geotourism, we can take an example of the Chris, where there are all kind of physical structures can be used as one of the interesting USB for promoting the tourism. Then we have industrial tourism, Gujarat, because the Tata Nano project was been shown to the people. Then in Maharashtra, we have Sula Wine, where the winery companies have started promoting the industrial tourism. And then I think religious tourism, which happens every side, every corner of our country and across the globe. Tourism can be classified with respect to the use, the recreational, cultural adventures, health, convection, tourism, and insect. So basically, these are the broad ways by which the tourism can be classified. So as I mentioned, that only few which is directly connected to the environment, I've selected few of them. So the one of the important type of the tourism is ecotourism, which is directly in a connection with the nature. So according to the International Ecotourism Society, it is defined as a responsible travel to the natural areas that conserve the environment, sustain the well-being of the local people, and involves the interpretation of education. So education is basically one of the important agenda of the ecotourism. These are the principles of the ecotourism: build environment and cultural awareness and respect, provide positive experience for the both visitors and host. Because when we when you are going to the area and when you enjoy the actual nature, I think that would be giving you the mouth to mouth publicity as well. So if we are providing all kind of the proper facilities, and then it gives a amazing experience to the people, then naturally the chances of getting tourists for that particular sector would be increasing. Providing the direct financial benefits for the conservation, generate a financial benefit for both local people and a private industry. So when they come along with each other, that would be forming a sustainable societies. And again, as I've said, in this particular process, the conservation of environment should not be reflected. Okay, it is not completely no use of the environment, because practically it's not possible. But then we have to understand the difference between the conservation and preservation. जहाँ पे जरूरी है वहाँ पे we have to completely preserve it. Okay, no entry, that means no entry. But then wherever it is possible, with all kind of the safety norms and precautions, it can be taken into consideration. Deliver the memorable interpretive experience to visitors that helps to raise the sensitivity to host the countries with respect to the political environment and other social issues. Design, construct, and operate low impact facilities which will be more sustainable. Matlab, other than having a big budget, I think a small projects can be more construable, and then recognize the rights of and the spiritual belief in the indigenous people of the community. So by using that, the further local people promotion can be done. Now, scope of the ecotourism, I thoroughly believe, being the environmentalist and practicing the holistic way of living since last few years. I know it's not that easy, but then at least if you could achieve 25% of it, I think that would make a major difference. So in a concept of the ecotourism, I think experiential learning plays an important role. आप कभी भी मतलब now in our meditation center, which is in Navsari. Like we have the ashram there. So now slowly we are turning towards the ecotourism as well. मतलब किस तरीके से छोटे बच्चे जो आते हैं, because there we have a garden and then we have certain natural flora grown over there. So I'm just giving example of that particular area, but it can be possible anywhere. मतलब आप बच्चों को जो मतलब छोटे बच्चे जो रहते हैं, I'm not saying एकदम बच्चे, but those who can understand and then can travel a bit. मतलब if they want, we have to make them understand the ecosystem. I think it would be more effective if we're taking them in the actual environment and then we are teaching them, so that they will be understanding the importance of it, and then they would be understanding how they are found to be interconnected with each other. So experimental learning, then the natural healing, like we have many aspects, like nowadays the mud therapy is been given, ayurvedic is always there. So natural product has a more healing capacity. That's number one. Secondly, when we are going in a natural places, like when anyone is not well at that time.
Hello.
Sir, am I
Kindly,
audible?
yeah, you are audible. Please finish it in 5 minutes because we have only
Yes, yes,
5 minutes.
yes. All right, all right. I was got confused whether I was audible or not. No, no problem, sir. I'll just wind it up. So scope of the tourism, natural heritage, we can go into the forest, lake, rivers, deserts, wildlife, flora, fauna, and definitely with respect to the research. So here I was talking about the five elements of the nature. Like when anyone is not well at that point of time, it is advised that they can go somewhere out. So naturally, when you come in contact with the nature, whether it's the forest, whether it's the ocean, beach, or riverside, naturally we get into the natural peace. So I think that can be promoted. So I'll give just few examples where I had actually visited. This is the Mohoran, the agro tourism farm. You can see the right side is Mr. Samir, the Adhikari from Thane. By profession, he was engineer, but almost by 8 years back, he and his whole family have decided that they want to give up their profession and come to the land of their family, and they have started this particular project. In almost 8 years of span, they have made this particular area. There are approximately 15 acres of land where they have all kind of the agricultural things are taken into consideration, like rice field and different kind of the indigenous species, the local species, and at the same time they have started promoting the tourism. मतलब बहुत सारी चीजें वहाँ पे डेवलप होती है एज अ प्रोडक्ट, बट एट द सेम टाइम दे आर प्रमोटिंग इट टू द लोकल पीपल एज वेल. मतलब whatever activities they are doing, they are involving local people. So on an average, it's very small area. Like as far as the tourism is concerned, it's very small. They have just the capacity of 50 to 20 people in their yard, but then it is providing employment opportunities approximately 15 people. So I think this is what actual example of a ecotourism. Then agricultural tourism, we are aware what exactly the agricultural tourism. In year 2020, the Maharashtra cabinet came up with the agro-tourism policies aimed at reviving the tourism sector and providing support to the rural economy. So agriculture tourism should include the essential elements of the tourism with agriculture industries, attract the member of the public to visit the agriculture operations where it can be, we can understand the agriculture process and the impact related to that, and taking the importance of it, designed to increase the farm of increase, so sustainable farming can be achieved, a direct market can be made available to them by various means, provide recreation, entertainment, and education experts. Another things which I've taken my students last year is the Keshav Srishti in Mumbai itself. So they have also have many different kind of agriculture product. So they're self-sustainable. They have goshala, they have rainwater harvesting, they have energy sufficient thing as well. So likewise, while doing the tourism, they are into the self-sustainability as well. So this can be one of the best example as far as ecotourism is concerned. This is the detail about the cases to stay. Adventure tourism, as I mentioned, such a huge scope for our country because it's almost every part of the state having either of the ways by which the adventurous activity can be done. Here, when we are planning something with respect to adventures, definitely the safety has to taken into consideration, and along with the natural things are to be managed. Like matlab, agar we are going on trekking, make sure that we are not damaging the plants further. When you're going for the wildlife and jeep safaris, we have to make sure that we are not doing any kind of the act where it would be adding to the damage to the environment. Ayurvedic tourism, Kerala has been known for